Hello there, welcome to Granada Reports as the heatwave continues.
Hello, on the programme this evening.
Anger over government plans for mandatory vaccine passports to enter nightclubs. Owners tell us their industry is being singled out.
We're a big industry. It's broken right now. It needs to repair.
Yet another life lost in the water. The body of a 16-year-old boy is found in a Cheshire river.
Catch up with cancer. The family of a young mum from Macclesfield who lost her life during lockdown take their petition right to the top of government.
Just what is the Commonwealth Games mascot doing at a primary school in Daisy Hill? Stay tuned to find out. Very nice.
And we are now officially in day 5 of this heatwave. How many more days to go? Will it ever cool down? Full forecast a little later on.
First tonight, less than 24 hours after the government gave nightclubs the green light to open, the rules have changed. Those looking to hit the dance floor or go to live gigs will have to prove they've had 2 jabs from September or they'll be turned away.
Sasha Lord, Greater Manchester's nighttime economy advisor, says the government will wipe out live gigs for a whole generation. The Prime Minister made the shock announcement, saying he was concerned by the continuing risk of COVID transmission.
This industry has been closed for the past 16 months and most of the summer's festivals have been cancelled. Some now question whether this is a deliberate move to force young people to get vaccinated.
We'll hear from one club owner in a moment, but first, this report from Zoe Moulding.
After being open for just 24 hours following a 16-month closure, nightclubs have been dealt another blow. From September, people will need to prove they've had 2 COVID jabs to enter nightclubs and other crowded venues. It doesn't come as welcome news for those working in the industry who faced a challenging year. Jason and Rebecca McQuaid run Project in Burnley. They say nightclubs are being singled out.
It only seems to be us that ever get all these extra restrictions. We're also not given much notice. It could have been done when we was first acknowledged that we was going to reopen.
It's almost like we're being blamed for being like the COVID spread, and we're a big industry. That is broken right now. It needs to repair.
Greater Manchester's nighttime economy advisor Sasha Lord says the industry was blindsided by the Prime Minister's announcement. He says he's worried about the long-term future of our region's clubs.
We are now going to see an escalation of house parties across the UK of 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids. It doesn't feel right, does it? Our industry is on its knees and there is so much concern, stress, worry, anxiety now about what this guidance is going to look like.
The government's chief scientific advisor, Sir Patrick Vallance, has warned that nightclubs and other crowded events may be the perfect breeding ground for COVID. These people enjoying a drink in Manchester today have mixed views on the PM's passport plans.
I think it's the safe thing to do, makes sense. Obviously it's a bit, it can seem like a dictatorship if you're like making people, you're giving them that like, forcing them in a way, like saying if you want to have fun you're going to have to do it, but it's also unfair to be like that reckless and just say like, yeah, you can infect people if you want, so I think it's the safer thing to do.
I do think all of sort of hospitality, nightclubs, like that kind of thing, like especially as a young person, I feel like it's a bit, we're the last people to be vaccinated, rightly so, like, but we're now the people that work in those industries, that benefit from those industries, and the last people that are going to be able to get back into those industries. So it is a bit, if young people are the last people to be vaccinated and they're the people that work there, having a passport control thing from September does feel a little bit sort of backwards.
After an already challenging 16 months, Freedom Day felt short-lived for Sarah and Jason. They and many other club owners now have to overcome the latest obstacle in reviving an industry on its knees. Yes, really not the announcement the nightclub owners expected or indeed wanted to hear last night. I'm at the Factory nightclub in Manchester city centre with the boss, Aaron Mellor. Aaron, give me your reaction to the announcement last night.
It's just been shambolic, really. You know, all the way through this, we've had mixed messages and U-turn after U-turn. You know, we were told about, for the last 3 months, we've been told that COVID passports would not be a thing. And then all of a sudden, last Monday, with 7 days' notice, we were being urged to employ COVID passports to an age group, the 18 to 25 group, that hasn't had a chance for a double vaccination yet. Yesterday, that was then made mandatory from September, and it just feels like it's another unfair barrier to entry for nightclubs.
And I guess you don't know yet how it's going to work, how it's going to operate within your nightclubs.
We've got no idea, and we're finding out this information so late in the day. I mean, after last Monday's announcement, the legislation and regulations only came out on the Wednesday at 5 p.m, which gave us 2 days to rework all our risk assessments, improve all our hygiene regimes. And it's just, everything seems always back to front. You know, if this was a plan, it should have been announced back in February so people could get ready for it and gear up towards it.
With the rising COVID rate, especially among young people, you know, the people that fill your nightclubs, do you understand why the government wants to do this, why it needs to do this?
It feels like it's a marketing push, really, to kind of get hesitant younger people, the 18 to 25s, vaccinated. And that feels a little bit unfair, really. That should be a choice. You know, the exponential rise in COVID cases that we're seeing at the moment is not a product of nightclubs, because nightclubs have been closed. This is a product of the great weather we're having and, of course, the Euros.
And just finally, Aaron, from a business point of view, is this going to affect your business? Are you worried that young people just think, oh, I can't be bothered, I don't want the vaccine, I'm not going to bother, and I'll go to a house party instead?
Massively so. I mean, if you try downloading the COVID app, it's actually quite difficult to do. You know, mine came back saying I need to wait for 4 more weeks for it, and I ran it as a test. And it just feels that it's another barrier to entry. And ultimately, what is the difference in going to a bar at midnight and going to a nightclub at midnight, except nightclubs have far better ventilation, far better circulation and more areas to play with.
All right, Aaron, thank you very much for joining us. As you can hear, some real anger and frustration from the nighttime industry just when they thought things were starting up again.
Yes, lots of questions there. Zoe, thank you.
In other news this evening, and a Premier League footballer has been arrested on suspicion of child sex offences. The 31-year-old man, who has not been named for legal reasons, was detained on Friday by Greater Manchester Police. The footballer has been suspended by his club while the investigation continues and has been bailed pending further inquiries.
A review of the Liverpool branch of the Labour Party has found evidence of bullying, misogyny and a toxic culture. The National Party has been carrying out an investigation into how local party functions following a critical government inspection. Whitehall commissioners are now overseeing key parts of the City Council.
To some sad news now, and police have recovered a body after a 16-year-old boy who disappeared in the River Weaver in Cheshire yesterday afternoon.
The dangers of open water have been brought into sharp focus again after 3 people died swimming in the northwest in the last few days.
Well, we can join our reporter Victoria Grimes, who's live at the scene near Frodsham. Vicky, what's the latest?
Oh, well, Gamal, it's just desperately sad news from here this evening with the news that they have discovered a body in the search for the missing 16-year-old boy. Police were called here at around 4 o'clock yesterday, hearing reports that a boy may have fallen into the water. Now, they mounted a huge search operation that went on until the early hours of this morning. It began again today. Rescuers desperately hoping that they would be able to find the teenager, and very sadly those hopes were dashed at 11:30 this morning when a body was discovered. It's yet to be formally identified, but it is believed to be that of the missing teenager. Now, this is the one of several water-related deaths that have happened in the northwest this weekend. Very tragic indeed in each case. On Sunday, there was a 19-year-old who disappeared after jumping into the water at Salford Quays. A search and rescue mission was mounted for him, and unfortunately his body was found just some hours later. That was 19-year-old Ngapi Marenga, who was a very talented footballer, and it's thought he'd been swimming with friends after training on Sunday that day. Now, there is a stark warning tonight from water safety experts. They're saying that however tempting it is to go for a dip when the temperatures are soaring as they are this week, people really must take care and make sure they know the risks.
Our thoughts are with the families of those involved. It's a really sad time, but also a very timely reminder to people that there are still dangers when you head to the coast or open water in general. Inland, a lot of the fatalities happened in rivers and lakes and canals as well. So take care, have a great time, but just have a little eye on safety and know what you would do if something does go wrong.
Sadly, this happens every year. So, Vicky, what's going to happen next?
Well, obviously a formal identification process will have to take place. The teenagers' parents have been informed, police say, and they're being looked after by specialist officers. Now, Cheshire Police say this is what appears to be a tragic accident, and they say that their thoughts are with the boy's family at this incredibly difficult time. Back to you.
OK, Vicky, thank you.
Next tonight, in a family's campaign to end delays in cancer treatment as a result of the pandemic.
Yeah, Craig and Mandy Russell's daughter Kelly died from bowel cancer last summer after her treatment was stopped 3 months earlier, halfway through a treatment cycle.
Today, they took their message to Downing Street with a petition calling for urgent action for patients.
It comes after warnings that coronavirus could cause 35,000 extra cancer deaths in the country within a year. They've been speaking to Alicia Manali.
Kelly Smith should be in Macclesfield, raising her young son. Instead, her loved ones are in London, raising awareness. The 31-year-old died of bowel cancer last year. Her chemotherapy had been put on hold because of the pandemic.
If you lose a loved one, it's tragic. If they're a younger person, it's even worse. But if you then think, well, they didn't actually necessarily have to die, then we need to do something about this. There are far too many families still losing loved ones when these things can be avoided. I'm not saying we can cure cancer. God, I wish we could, but obviously not. But there's certainly things that can be done now to give cancer patients a better chance to fight for their own lives.
Today marks 1 year since Kelly's loved ones founded the Catch Up with Cancer campaign. It's a call on the government to provide a more urgent response to the cancer backlog, a new national plan and investment to increase capacity. The petition's been signed by more than 375,000 people.
What would Kelly think of what you've done?
I would hope that she would be very proud that the fact that we're carrying on the fight in her name. I think her only regret is the fact she wouldn't be here to fight with us, because she loved a good fight and that's how she dealt with the cancer.
And the fight goes on. This walk through Westminster to deliver their petition and fight for current cancer patients, 1 in 4 of whom have reported disruption to their care during the latest COVID wave. And studies show that for every 4 weeks that treatment is delayed, the likelihood of death increases by 10%.
It couldn't be more important. This is the worst cancer crisis ever. So what we need to do, we have to have a minister in charge, just like the vaccine, with the power to sweep away bureaucracy, investment that's ring-fenced, and a radical national plan to do this.
The current plan is to address the backlog by March 2022. Surely you welcome that?
It's not fast enough and it's not good enough.
The petitioners never made it to the doors of Downing Street today, delivering their message outside because of restrictions. But they hope their message will go further than they could, into the hands of those with the power to act. Leisha McNally, ITV News, Westminster.
Well, the Department of Health and Social Care told us they're committed to tackling this backlog in cancer care. They added, we're providing an extra £1 billion to boost diagnosis and elective treatment in the year ahead and investing £325 million in NHS diagnostic machines to improve the experience of cancer patients.
Next, how many of us have had fake texts about a parcel delivery?
I certainly have, and a shocking 60% of people in the Northwest say they've had one, and despite most of us realising they're fake, some people are still sadly duped.
Tim Scott went to meet one person who lost thousands of pounds with little prospect of getting the money back.
It was a simple text that led to Claire, it's not her real name, losing £3,000. She's one of many people who are falling victim to fraudsters who inform them that a parcel is waiting to be delivered.
The text message said, unable to deliver, please follow the link to reschedule a delivery. And at the time I was expecting a parcel, so I assumed that was regarding the parcel I was expecting.
After paying the delivery fee, Claire was then contacted by people who said they were from her bank. They told her there'd been fraudulent activity on her account.
And I asked, how do I know I'm speaking to the bank? And they said, well, check the phone number, which I did. And the phone number corresponded to HSBC Bank.
Even though we now know that wasn't the right number, they were phoning you from a completely different number, and but it showed up as your bank's genuine number.
Yeah.
Within days, the fraudsters had convinced Claire to set up a new account and transfer her money into it. But everything about it was fake, and Claire's money had gone for good.
I was very distressed and I felt very foolish. I think when you actually look at it in black and white on a separate occasion, I think, well, of course they weren't from the bank. But at the time it all seemed to make sense, and when I was speaking to them,
they were genuine.
They seemed genuine.
Here in the northwest, 60% of people say they've received one or more scam messages claiming to be from a delivery company in the last year. Fake post office texts were the most common, with 70% saying they'd received one. And while the majority seem to realise it was a scam, 1 in 30 people have lost money as a direct result of these messages.
If you receive one of these messages, the best way to protect yourself is just simply delete it, ignore it. And if you are concerned it's in any way legitimate, contact the business yourself to verify what you have been sent. If you get a message, especially from a big courier like Royal Mail, they will never ask you for payment over text message. They'll only get that with a grey form posted through your letterbox.
Claire's bank only refunded a small proportion of the money she lost, and there's little prospect of the fraudsters being brought to justice. The message around all this is clear: never reply to these messages and contact the company directly with any concerns. Tim Scott, ITV News.
Next tonight, the remarkable brother and sister living with a rare disease and the people doing amazing things to help them.
Ollie and Amelia Carroll, who are 10 and 8, both have a fatal, incurable condition which leads to seizures and sight loss.
Their conditions are now deteriorating, but that hasn't stopped a team of fundraisers raising thousands to help support the family.
As Rob Smith reports, it's help which hasn't come a moment too soon.
To the sky. Seeing a blue sky wouldn't be possible much longer, but medicine swung in her favour. Amelia Carroll from Poynton has Batten disease, a rare condition which takes sight, speech, movement, and eventually kills. An enzyme drug which keeps the 8-year-old alive, walking and talking will now be repurposed to potentially save her vision. Her older brother Ollie, who's 10, already lost his sight, and much more.
At the moment, the enzyme therapy is put directly into the brain, which is slowing down the progression of Batten disease. But unfortunately, that enzyme can't cross the blood-brain barrier. They're going to take that drug and then administer it by an injection directly into just one eye of a child.
It's quite emotional because I don't want to put our daughter through it because we don't know whether it will work or not. But this is the only hope we've got.
There is no other choice?
No, absolutely. There's no choice at all.
Here we go! To get that choice, the youngster's dad got on the road last weekend, a marathon to raise money to fund the drug programme. Alongside him, a world kickboxing champion who cycled 250 miles on top, swam a lake, and pulled a truck to pull in donations. Having started the Mammoth Challenge at the London hospital which treats Amelia and Ollie, he knows why it matters.
When I see things on TV, they don't look... You kind of get used to them, don't you? But when I went to Great Ormondshire Hospital, I walked down, there was a little wheelchair, a little child's wheelchair by the side of it. I was walking down, and then the next one was a little girl who had all of these, no hair and tubes and everything, and it knocked us all back. And Mike said, "This is my life." And you go, oof.
There we go, building blocks.
Giving Amelia and others with the disease a chance to see will cost around £170,000. Her family hope it'll work and be funded by the NHS in future. Rob Smith, ITV News, Poynton.
Now, it's not unusual. Now, it's not unusual to be waiting for a train, but on Merseyside, passengers are waiting for more than 50 of them.
Yes, to replace its ageing rolling stock, the Liverpool City region has bought a brand new fleet which should have been in service by now.
But despite floods, industrial disputes and COVID-19, the first trains are now finally being tested.
Andy Bonner reports.
They are certainly taking their time to arrive, but after nearly a decade of planning, passengers are getting their first glimpses of the future. These trains promise a more comfortable, greener journey, and they've been testing battery technology which could open up the network.
This train has got the ability to run beyond the third rail, and we're looking to introduce that onto an extension beyond Kirby Station without extending the third rail. But we see that as possibly the first of several extensions that could expand the area that Merseyrail can cover.
The City region is buying the trains outright for £500 million, but it means they're publicly owned and customised for the network. With no compartments or steps, they're accessible and modern. However, the trains were part of a long dispute over the role of guards, which led to a number of strikes. Plus, the projects had to contend with a flood at the factory in Spain and, of course, the pandemic.
The problems that the pandemic has wreaked on the business case is there no matter what else happens on the system. We're still going to have to find ways in which we can increase revenues because we have a black hole in the business case. We know that our public transport system has the most generous concessionary travel scheme in the whole country, so we'll have to make some difficult decisions.
Unions are still to agree to the changes these trains will bring, but talks have now resumed and are at a delicate stage.
We will do everything in our power to reach an agreement that safeguards our members' jobs and introducing the new trains for the passengers, and everything that we can possibly do is being done.
If all goes well, these trains could be running by the end of the year, but it will have been a difficult journey and they're not quite at their destination yet. Andy Bonner, ITV News, Liverpool.
Now, as we continue to build up to the Olympics, which start this week, tonight we meet the Liverpool boxer hoping to be a big hit in Japan.
Peter McGrail has won medals at all major tournaments apart from the Olympics.
David Chisnell caught up with him at home.
You'll need a big house, won't you? For all your...
Big trophy dream, like.
A look inside Peter McGrail's family home, and it's not hard to see how successful the Liverpool boxer has been.
That's the world bronze.
With world, Commonwealth and European medals among the many on display, the 25-year-old's collection will be complete with a podium finish at this year's Olympics.
It's that many, I get mixed up now.
Like all those going to Tokyo, Peter has had to wait an extra 12 months for these games, but he says that is a positive.
I'm coming into my prime now, do you know what I mean? I'm maturing, getting stronger, getting fitter and getting more clever in the ring. So at the time I was gutted and I was thinking, oh, it's another year, it's going to set me back a year, but now I'm just seeing it as a positive, and yeah, I think it was an advantage for me, definitely.
Boxing at the Olympics has been Peter's lifelong dream ever since he first put on the gloves as a young boy.
You think when they're young, don't you, and they go, well, I want to go to the Olympics, and you don't think it's going to happen, but good on him, he's done it.
This has always been the pinnacle that he's aimed for. It's the Olympics. There's no higher thing you can achieve in the amateurs. So even the fact that he's going is an unbelievable achievement already. But we know he's capable of actually coming back with a medal.
And as the big brother, are you taking credit for kind of all the training and the fights that you guys had as youngsters growing up?
Yeah, I always laugh at joking around with him. I say you might be #1 in the country, but you're still only #3 in your own house. How old are you on that?
Peter's family, along with his girlfriend, have travelled all over the world supporting him in tournaments. However, they won't be in Tokyo, as Japan has banned overseas fans from attending because of COVID.
It's given me a bit more drive that they're not there. I'm going to have to definitely get the job done for them now, so that I can make them proud.
Well, instead of going to the games, Peter's supporters will instead be cheering him on from back home in Liverpool.
When you watch him fight, as much as you're so excited for him to like do the fight and show his skills off, you feel sick. As much as you're watching it, you're not watching it at the same time, so that's it's the nerves.
If we're here, I'm in and out to the telly.
As Peter prepares to go for gold in Tokyo, he's also preparing to go into self-imposed isolation in the Olympic Village as he tries to reduce the risk of catching COVID.
Imagine getting to your medal bout or even the Olympic final and someone you test positive and then you can't fight, you know what I mean? You'd be gutted for the rest of your life, wouldn't you? If you think anyone's got COVID, I'd be sure you get away from me, lad, you know what I mean?
One thing Peter doesn't want to keep away from at the Olympics is a medal, and while he's working on winning one, his mum is working on where to put it.
I'll find a special place for that gold medal, definitely.
You'll make room.
Yeah.
David Chisnell, ITV News, Liverpool.
Good luck to him. Now, it's worth remembering that this time next year, the Commonwealth Games will be held here in the UK.
And an 11-year-old schoolgirl from West Horton who won a competition to design the mascot got another surprise today at her primary school.
Paul Crone was there for the big moment.
Earlier this year, schoolgirl Emma Lou was shocked as 2022 Commonwealth Games mascot Perry arrived at her home to show off her winning design. Today there was another treat as Perry, and yes, he must have been boiling in that outfit, made an appearance at St James Primary School in Daisy Hill to greet Emma Lou. And with the mascot came a couple of local mayors to add to the occasion. The St James pupil is still made up with her winning design.
On paper now, like, it's not really that much, but now that it's come to life, lots of people can see it, and like I can use Perry somehow as a message to inspire people.
Her creativity will be seen by millions when the Commonwealth Games are held in Birmingham next summer. And talking of games, our Perry, getting hotter by the minute no doubt, joined in the end of term sports day. Oh, what skills!
The children were so excited about him coming, but when he arrived, they just went crazy on the playground, screaming and shouting. I don't think they could believe what they were seeing. Just a larger-than-life, colourful, friendly figure to brighten up for the final week of term.
They've kept my original design really well. I just love all the hexagons, the colours, and I love the fur especially.
Right, Perry, 2 stomps for yes, 1 stomp for no. Are you hot? 2 stomps for yes, 1 stomp for no. Are you going to pass out? Oh, what an athlete. What an athlete. But no sports day is complete without a tug of war. 1, 2, 3, heave! Oh, hang on, that doesn't seem a fair competition. Well, you know the old sporting phrase, no pain, no gain. Paul Crone, ITV News, Daisy Hill.
Wonderful stuff. Here's Kerry.
He's chucking it down. Might as well get on with them jobs, Gary.
Wipes in the bin, though. Oh, good lad.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, very good evening to you. Hot days and sultry nights continue across the northwest. Don't know about you, but mornings are my favourite. This morning, about 9 a.m, it was already into the low 20s Celsius across many parts of the northwest. A little bit of mist and murk first thing, but a good dose of warm sunshine before it got too hot for most of us. Keep your photographs coming, granada.weather@itv.com. So we've been officially, I guess, in terms of Met Office data sites, in that heat wave since Friday, where we got 26 Celsius. But we've been high 20s since then, and that will continue over the next couple of days as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. But by Friday, the temperatures will take a dip. We're still in fairly humid air, and then low pressure pushing in from the south, and it is likely that we'll get some rain now, certainly to southern parts of the region by the time we reach Saturday. So overnight tonight, dry, clear, very warm evening, maybe a little bit of mist and murk once more developing towards dawn under those clear skies, but another uncomfortable night for sleeping, and in urban spots 16 to 18 Celsius as we head into the early hours. 5:07 and 9:26 are your sun times for tomorrow. Any morning mist and fog will once more lift, a good dose of sunshine. Very familiar theme now, a little bit of fair weather cloud bubbling up for the second part of the day. Very small chance of a sharp shower, but for most of us we're dry. Very warm to hot inland, warm at the coast with refreshing sea breezes. For many of us it will be much more pleasant directly at the coast and for the Isle of Man, and still a high UV sunburn risk in that sunshine. And as we head into the next couple of days, well, Thursday still plenty of sunshine, still highs inland of around 28 Celsius with light winds. We are expecting those temperatures to dip a little bit, but still high humidity into the weekend, and also those overnight temperatures, some really uncomfortable sleeping.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
He's doing us now.
Top fella.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV pollen count.
Well, even the plants are exhausted with this heat wave. Some of them have stopped producing pollen. It could be worse, could be better news, I guess. High for the rest of the week. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care. See you soon.
that's it for another Granada Reports. Many thanks indeed for your company, the team, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.